Okay, let's write a program that will calculate the employee pay. So let's call it and public static. And let me click finish. So let's talk about some of the stuff we need in this program. Again, when we say let's talk about, I'm just talking about in English. Let's talk about what we need to get. The user will have to enter what? Maybe the number of hours. So enter number of hours. What else we need to do? Well, we also probably need the pay rate for that employee. Pay rate. We can read the name too if we need the name. So employee name. So this program actually will calculate overtime for you. So overtime, that means you worked over 40 hours. So what do you want to pay him for overtime? Time and a half. So you will get 1.5 times the rate for overtime. That's what we're going to pay you. And when you print, maybe I want to print separately, print the gross pay. I was about to do them separately, but that's fine. Gross pay. That's really the intent of my program. Nothing really fancy. And maybe I will use a scanner here in this example. Use scanner to read values. So if you're going to use the scanner, first thing first, you need to write import space java.util.scanner, java.util.S scanner. You also need to come down here. It doesn't have to be on this line, but scanner, and you can use any name you want to. I'm going to use keyboard because I'm reading the value from the keyboard. Scanner keyboard equals new scanner parentheses system.in. So if you can use the scanner, you have to. In one example, I use input here for this. One of them I use, I think, Git. Keyboard, you can use Fluffy, the cat. You can use Scooby-Doo if you want to. Whatever name you want to use, not a big deal. So the next step is we need to ask, here we go. Let's ask for, I'm going to wait on the name till the end. Let's ask for the number of hours. So syso, control space on mine. There we go. How many hours did you work this week? Well, I'm not going to say you. We'll say how many hours, because if it's you, then you know your name. So how many hours did the employee work this week? Question mark. And again, I'm going to do a print, not print line, so we'll stay on the same line. And I put a space there, so when you type in the number, there's a space between them. And let's read that value. Well, I didn't define where we're going to put that. So let me define and I like to define my variables up there on the top. So let's define them up there before I start using them. Can a person work more than, can the person work a number of hours that's not a whole number? Can you work like 13.5 hours? And the answer to that is yes. So it really can't be integer. It has to be double hours, comma. Also the rate. You could be making 15.5 or $26.25. Overtime. I'm going to just call it over here for overtime. And gross pay, I'll use gross for the gross pay. And maybe I'll do one like not overtime. Well, yeah, that's fine. Just leave it like that. Okay. So now you're going to get the value and put it there. So how many hours did you work this week? That's going to go on location hours. Oh, hours equal, not dot, equals. And keyboard, that's what I'm using. Where's my keyboard? I'm just looking to make sure my spelling is lowercase. Dot. And this number is next double. This is the number you're going to read is a double value, decimal value. And we can repeat that line. Copy. Command V. Enter the pay rate. So I'm just want to enter pay rate for, or just the pay rate, because we don't know who the employee is. I should ask for the name. This way I can say enter the pay rate for, and you specify the employee. And I'm going to put a dollar sign here, and you type in the pay rate right next to it. So that will be rate. And you're going to get, so these two lines, so just quickly description, I can read the hours and the rate. That's what these two lines are going to do, read the hours and the rate. Now next I need to calculate what overtime is. Did you work overtime? So here's what we have to do. If, we have to use an if statement. So let me describe here. Check for overtime. How do we know you worked overtime? If what? If the hours that you worked is greater than 40, then you worked overtime. So how are we going to pay you? I'm going to put that in location over. That's for overtime. Is first, let's say you work 50 hours. Well, if you worked 50 hours, you're going to get paid for 10 hours of overtime. How do you come up with 10 hours? You go the number of hours minus the 40. And you're going to multiply that by the rate times the pay. The rate times 1.5. I'm sorry, that's the rate of pay. Because we're going to pay you 1.5 for overtime. Else, that means you didn't work overtime. Your over is going to be 0. So if the number of hours is more than 40, we're going to calculate what the overtime pay, which we subtract 40 hours from the hours you worked. So if you work 56 hours, 56 minus 40 is 16, times the rate times 1.5. If you did not work overtime, then you get 0 for overtime. Now, let's check and see here. Check for full week. Did you work full week? Did you work 40 hours this week? Now, if I start doing that, notice it's not really a good program. I'll do that and I'll show you it's not a good way of programming because I'm wasting the machine's time. So if you didn't work over 40 hours, why am I checking to see if you worked a full week or not? Who cares? What I should have done here, I'm going to delete it because that's not a good, that's just redundant. Wasting. The machine is going to just slow down and do that statement for nothing. We're trying to write a good program. So I forgot I took the over out. So now I don't have to check and see if you work 40 hours, 36 hours, 15 hours, 20 hours, doesn't matter. Your gross pay here is going to equal to what? Well, you can't say hours times the rate. You can't do that. And the reason you can't do that, because if you work 50 hours, you're going to get paid for the 50 hours. Then I'm going to pay you for 10 hours, 1.5 in addition to that. So you're getting 2.5 times. So this is the thing I want you to think about when you're writing a program. Maybe this is really not the best way to approach it. Maybe what I should have done here, do a couple of things here, not just one thing. So I don't like what I'm doing here. I'm going to go back here, but you're only allowed to put one statement here. So if I want to put more than one statement, I got a problem. So what I need to do is curly bracket to open it and curly bracket to close it. And this becomes a compound statement. So the machine treats that as one statement. So my overpay is going to be that. And my gross pay here is going to equal, you know you worked more than 40, is going to be the 40 hours that you worked times the rate plus, you already have the overtime calculated right there in front of you. Remember, your machine is sequential, already has that number in it. That's what your gross pay. But if you don't work more than 40 hours, then your gross pay here is equal to what? The number of hours times the rate. And that's much, much better way of writing the program. And now let's display the result. Display the gross pay. Oh, you know, I forgot to ask for the person's name. So let's try to get the person's name. So let's add here also the name of the person we want to get. I forgot about that. So we're going to get the name. So if I go right there and ask for the name, I'm going to have a problem. So I'll show you again. SysO. We talked about this before, but just in case you forgot, enter employee name. And that's actually, the name is going to be a string, so it's not going to be double. Let me go back up there and go string name. So now, once you see that, enter the employee name, and you go to read it, you're going to say name equals, and this one is going to be what? Keyboard dot, and what's the name? The name is a string. So we're going to write next line. That's capital L. And let's see if I'm going to have a problem reading the name here or not. What do you think? I think we will. Here we go. Click down here to make sure that how many hours did you work, the employee work this week? I don't know, 16 hours. What's the pay rate for their employee? $15.25. And I'm going to hit enter and watch what happens when I hit enter. Enter the employee name. I'm typing a name here. Can you hear my keyboard? Nothing is happening. As we said before, once you hit enter, that actually enter key becomes the name. So to make sure that that enter key is not the name, we need to do keyboard dot next line. And what that does, it takes that enter key now and puts it into that line, and that will give me a chance to go right here and type the name now for that person. It releases that key. Here we go. Enter the number of hours, 16, and this is 15.25. And now enter the name of the employee. And again, I wasn't looking to see what I typed here. And there's certain commands when you tap on the machine, change it automatically for us. That really should not be there. That should be next. I typed in next line, but it got changed to that. I know I typed in next line. So I've seen it before. So the number of hours, here we go. 16. The pay rate, 15.25. And now it should ask me to enter a name. And here's my name. And I should have said print instead of print line, so the name will show up on the same line. I'll fix that. And now that'll allow me and will calculate the rate for me. So now it works. But let me just take that and make it a print so the name will show up next to it. If you want to make life easy for you, you can put that statement first. Then you never have to worry about that line. So if you put that one first, notice if I take this one and put it first, well, I already have it here and I don't want to delete it, but if you put it first, then there's nothing before that. You don't need this line. You can just do it without this line. But now we have it. So let's print here, display, sys-o, the gross pay for employee, and I'm going to put the name of the employee here. Notice I put a plus. Give me the name of that employee, plus space is $, plus gross. I want you to print all that. So I want you to print this statement, the gross pay for employee. It's going to print that with the space. Then it's going to put the name of the person. Then it's going to put a space is, put the $, then the gross pay. So if we did this correctly, let's see what will happen. How many hours did you work this week? We'll say 36 hours. Let's make the math easy. What's your pay rate? $20 an hour. So if we think about it, 40 times 20 is $800 plus 6 hours of overtime. 6 times, and overtime is $30 an hour. That should be $980. Here's the employee. It should say the gross pay for Zihaddad is $980. Oh, $720. Let's do the math. What is 40 times, 36, I'm sorry. I meant to write 46. Okay. For 36 is correct. There is no overtime. Run it again. Let's do 46. That's 6 hours of overtime. $20 again. And that's the $980. Not a bad program.